Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Let's Have a Pint. Excuse me. Today we have Stone Woot Stout on Untapped. The whole name reads Drew Curtis, Will Wheaton, Greg Koch, Stone Farking Wheaton Woot Stout. It is a Russian Imperial Stout, 11.5% alcohol, 45 IBUs. 4.17 is the average rating on Untapped. Let's see. And the bio for this beer reads, okay, so on here it says it's just a collab between those three, but it says it's Stone Farking Wheaton Woot Stout. Basically the same, just not as clunky. A mind-blowing amalgamation of flavors. Front and center this year is the result of Will's creative machinations, taking the art direction duties with world-renowned fantasy artist Joe Jusko, representing our gargoyles' triumph over the evils in the world of beer. 6 years into this amazing Woot Stout legacy, and I continue to be stunned and humbled by the response of our fans. Sure, it's an amazingly delicious specialty Imperial Stout, partially inspired by Kentucky Derby pie of Drew's home state. And speaking of Drew, we asked him to lean into two of his strengths, drinking Woot Stout and chatting up a storm. So this year he'll MC our wildly nerd-nominous celebration of beer and geekery, known as HopCon Woot Stout release party, held annually during San Diego's Comic-Con. The nerd lives in all of us. Celebrate it. Now is the golden age for us lovers of awesome things. We're here. We are vast, and we've got great taste. This beer is an ode to you, fellow nerd. One thing I'm noticing, I didn't really pay attention or think about it while I was when I originally had picked it up. Stone used to not do like labels that they stickered on. They used to have it just engraved on the bottle. But anyways, I got my Tiku glass, and you will notice it is a bomber. I don't like to do bombers, but some things only come that way. I wasn't originally going to do a video today, but earlier I cracked open a beer. I don't remember if I've reviewed it or not yet. There's still another of it in the fridge. If I haven't, I'll have to look through and see if I have or not before I drink the last one. But what it was Sierra Nevada, what the hell is it called? Hazy little thing. I like the beer a lot. I am so tired of hop beers, like hop forward beers. I have had so many recently, and don't get me wrong, I really like them. But this is my favorite kind of deal here. So I decided I needed to redeem myself to my palate, which it was, it enjoys my palate. I enjoy the hazy little thing, but I just don't want anything hoppy. I want something massive, something dark, something roasty, some sweetness, some bitterness, and I'm hoping this can deliver. Well, first things first, definitely get the roasted malt on the nose. Oh, so the other day, I don't know when it's gonna go up on the channel, or when versus when this does. But I reviewed Moon Beer, and you know I enjoyed it a lot, but it could have been so much more than what it was. But I had another one the other day that took longer to finish, and you know I got to get back to doing this. It took longer to finish, so it warmed up to room temperature. And I actually thought Moon Beer was a lot better at room temperature. And I used to purposefully take, you know, an hour plus to finish a beer. Just, you know, to get that difference in flavor. You know, as you guys seen a lot for the channel, I've drank a lot of beers in 20, 30 minutes. And that is not what I want to do. You know, I can do it for the channel when it's something that I've had. And I know what it's like, you know. Definitely get some molasses out of that as well. There's a lot of molasses in there too. Hints of vanilla. Really all I'm getting out of there is the roasted malt, a lot of molasses, and a hint of vanilla. Thick mouthfeel, not incredibly thick, but a thick mouthfeel. That is sweet going down, though, I can tell you that. Sweet at the beginning, bitter in the middle, sweet at the end. Some malty sweetness / molasses on the front. I dare say coffee notes in the middle. Now, I mean, there's coffee notes throughout the taste, but in the middle, it shines through, and you get some bitterness there. Just thick on molasses on the front and end, and the coffee shines through in the middle. I get a little bit of vanilla as well on the front of the palate. Just a big roasty flavor throughout. It's big, it's bold. It's definitely warming. There's a little alcohol burn I'm starting to get throughout here. A little bit. Not even enough to worry about it. So that's mostly what I'm getting now is the roasted malt. I mean, the molasses is still big time on the front and the end, and you know it's there in the middle. But like I said, the coffee shines through. But the big thing throughout is those robust malts. Roasty, robust malts. And it is exactly what I needed right now. After essentially having a hot bomb. Not exactly, but when it's not what your palate wants. It seems like a hot bomb. And see, that doesn't seem like what New England IPA should be. From what I heard before I had any. I had this one, and this just tastes like an IPA. It tastes like a bitter IPA. Sorry, it was charging. It needed to be done. It just tasted like a bitter IPA, and it's only 40 IBUs. But what I was always hearing that a New England style IPA was something juicy. You could almost confuse it with juice. And I honestly only had one that was like that for a New England style, and that was Cross Strains Hop Shake. Now they're Fairy Nectar England project, Fairy Nectar, whatever it's called, is a dry hopped New England IPA. So that had some bitterness, but it had some sweetness too. However, this is, in my opinion, better than 99% of IPAs. Not too much going on for me. I'm counting down the fucking time. We're under 24 hours. Let's see. So, because we've made some changes at work this week, I'm going in 4 to 1. Right now it is 7 o'clock. It is very close to bedtime. Tomorrow is Friday. And so that's a difference of 6 hours, so 18 hours till then. And I'm not counting down because it's the weekend. As much as I love the weekend, I don't... Excuse you. I'm trying to make a video, and your sister is not going to hurt you, I promise. You might be afraid of her. Luna, you are kind of pressing your luck. And she's always been afraid of you. You're okay, are ya? Yeah, you're okay. This isn't exactly on camera. You're okay. You can let Luna lay next to you. You can even lay your head on her butt. And she's almost asleep. Just growling 1 minute, the next minute, almost passed out. But, lost my train of thought. counting down because after I get out at 1 o'clock tomorrow, I don't have to be back next Monday. I don't have to be back till the Monday after that. It's my second of 3 vacations this year. 3 week-long vacations. Which I'm thinking next year is going to be 4. Well, still 3 vacations. I'm thinking next year, next summer's vacation is going to be 2 weeks. It depends. Because I don't know if next year my PTO jumps up to 4 weeks every year. But at that time, I'll be a few months away from 3 years. Actually, no, 4 years. And a year from then, when I hit 5 years, I'll get 5 weeks of vacation. I know, I'm so spoiled. So I'm excited about that. Tomorrow, I would say tomorrow would go really slow, but if it changes, it's moving fast, so. Don't have too much to talk about in this video. I gotta get together reviews for 2 different books that I read. And just finished. Actually, I finished them both, not last night, but the night before. One of them was Stephen King's Pet Sematary. And the other one was Max Hawthorne's Kronos Rising Kraken, Volume 2. It's a 3rd one in a series, technically. He originally did Kronos Rising, and then Kronos Rising Kraken took place, I think it was 30 years in the future, and this was the 2nd of that, obviously. There's going to be a 3rd one. So he had the original book, and then there's going to be a trilogy, I think. And then I don't know where the series goes from there, but what I've heard is, the vibe I get is he wants to do this for a long time, kind of like I want to be writing Zoe for a long time. But anyways, what I'm reading now, well, the main one is supposed to be The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers Part 2. But I am not going to take that out of the apartment, because it is, it's not leather, but it's a cloth cover. Like, it's kind of a leathery cloth type thing, and I don't want to damage it. And it's kind of a collector's issue-ish. Not where it's like extremely expensive, but where it's like, but it is broken up, not by like the Fellowship, the Two Towers, and the Return of the King. It's the Fellowship Part 1 and Part 2, and the Two Towers Part 1 and Part 2, and the Return of the King Part 1 and Part 2. But you know what's funny? I've never read the books before, and I started back in like 2015. I've read so much that it's, you know, it just circulates in and out as I read every part. But the movies, especially if you watch the extended editions, the first one's the shortest. I mean, it's still 3 hours and like 40 minutes. And the second one is like 3 hours and 55 minutes, and the fourth one is 4 hours and 20 minutes. What the hell was I gonna say? Oh, notice the books are the opposite. Like, both parts for the Fellowship is the longest part, the longest parts, and the Two Towers are a little shorter, and then the two parts for the Return of the King are the shortest. I mean, I understand why. There's a lot more a lot more filler that doesn't necessarily get ignored in the movies, but goes by a lot quicker in the first two films. But with the third one, it's pretty much all action. So, and they've drawn out the battle sequences longer and everything, So I can kind of understand why you want to kind of skip some of the, 20 minutes of just walking for the movie. And I mean, nobody's that's read them is gonna deny that it's very dry writing. It's amazing, but it's dry. The writing is very dry. So I think that's probably going to be the next two videos. Sorry, I keep doing that. And the sun is, like I said, it's 7, so the sun is getting close to setting. But probably the next two reviews I do will have reviews for those books. But and the other one that I'm reading, the one that I'll take to work with me, and anywhere else where I'm going to be reading, or where I have a chance to read. It's Jenna Moresi. Well, it's The Savior's Champion by Jenna Moresi. Then I finally get back into The Expanse. And then I got this big bastard. It's not the longest book in this pile, but it is the biggest as far as width goes, and I don't understand how it has more width than something else that has more pages. I'm sure it has to do with the kind of paper being printed on. I mean, the pages are a little darker than everything else. Of course, it was printed. It was Amazon Publishing for the Elven, so. Which I've had that for like a year and a half. And it's now finally circulating through. Anyways, that's all I got for you. What do I rate this beer? And I gotta tell you if I buy it again. As if I need to tell you whether I'd buy it again. It gets a 4.17 on Untapped. For me, alcohol taste is a backdraw, unless it's like a bourbon barrel aged beer. If I'm going into it knowing it's like bourbon barrel aged, fine. I cannot hold that against it, but. And I understand it's very hard to completely mask that at 11.5%. But I detract a little bit for that. If it wasn't for that, it would get a 4.75. Because of that, it gets a 4.5. And before we go, I am so sorry, I'm going to move you. I don't know how well that's coming through. If that doesn't come through well, I apologize. It might come through from here. You can see, where's my finger? Right way up there. Arya there, sleeping. She's afraid of this one. Luna. No, don't move. Oh, she's licking her butt. Anyway. I didn't show you this. Pretty cool bottle. I don't give a shit about the bottle. The beer's amazing. One more thing. Would I buy this again? This beer was $8.49. Most of them that were like this up at the store that I've seen recently were like $12.99, $13.99, $15.99. The Abyss was the one that was $15.99. And I would take this over the Abyss. I'd take this. I just feel like the Abyss has fallen off since I had it like 5+ years ago. The main ones that were $12.99 were from Clown Shoes. There's 2 American Imperial Stouts, and then there's a Russian Imperial Stout, which I only saw the Russian Imperial Stout at one place that I've gone to recently and looked at beer. Everywhere else just had the American Imperial Stouts. And don't get me wrong, I want to try those, and I'm excited to try those. But, I mean, you can get bigger than this. You can. And you can get a lot more complex than this. You certainly can. But when most bombers like this are almost twice as much money, I'll take this. If I had an extra 100 lying around and say all my bills were paid, I'd buy at least one more bottle of this. Okay, we'll say this. If I had $100 in free beer, I'd get another bottle of this. I definitely would. With that said, if they did this again next year, I'll be getting it next year. Completely. Like I've said 20 times now, it seems like. That's it for this video. Giving you my review, my rating, and that I would most certainly buy this again. So, until next time, when we'll probably be talking about Pet Sematary, Prost.